Hi everybody, it's Kimberly with Journalbreeze. Thank you for joining me today for part 3 of my 1950s cover ephemera holder. This is the final video that I will do on this beautiful ephemera holder. And I don't think I've made a project that's given me as many opportunities to mess up as this one. Oh my gosh. So the way I look at situations like that is I say, I have learned more making this journal than I have learned making anything else. And I have learned a lot from making a lot of other things. But this one was really something else. So I am going to share with you everything I learned so that you will know, and then you can make your own mistakes. I'm so glad I finished it. I honestly really love it, and I love this cover so much. Just love it. And you know, this lace is part of the cover. Let me get closer for you. And it's so similar in shape to this. Isn't that just fabulous? That just makes me so happy. I wish I owned this piece of lace. I really do love it. I love these references to the earlier Ladies' Home Journal, which was, 1876, I think. Probably not 1876, that was a centennial, but probably I remember it being 1870 something. And this would have been more current, like the 40s. This is 56, I think it was published, and this looks more like it's around the turn of the century. So it's just beautiful, and then the pages stand out, and I end up being able to see what's on a page. So it sort of makes for a tab. So each page sticks out part way, and it's a bit of a tab. And the way I've adjusted the papers allows me to sort of know what's on the page and how to get there quicker. I had thought about doing tabs, but then I thought, well, the tabs would take up space. They'd have to be kind of heavy duty. They couldn't be just glued to the edge. They'd have to be kind of glued in. And I didn't, I didn't want there to be any more sticking out than it is. I'm actually thinking about the fact that I don't know if the sound is working right. So hold on one second. Let me just make sure I have this turned up. Yeah, it's up all the way. I didn't hear the usual ding I hear when I turn the camera on, so I think it's working. All right, so mostly I'm here to give you my tips, but I do want to show you some of my thinking on how I put in the papers and everything like that. So let's start with this type of closure. I have to say, it came in some sort of a grab bag I bought, and it was so long ago that I have no idea that it had anything to do with junk journaling at all. And it had rings. There was actually this button or bead was on this side, and then it formed a loop, and it had rings coming off of it. And so I originally started hanging something off the rings, but then I realized that that wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I squished the bead down to the end and put it where the knot was, and with doing that I was able to kind of have everything over here and leave this blank. So I think it's really pretty. I like it. I'm setting my alarm for 30 minutes. So it's very simple. I don't know. My guess is somebody wore it around their neck, that it was some sort of closure for their neck, and so that they had the rings down here, and they probably had keys on there or something like that. But look how easily you could make this. You just tie a knot with some ribbon, and then put these ends through the bead first, so you could push with a scissor or something. So this would not be my choice of bead, but it already was working, and I'd already had so many different things go kind of haywire. I thought, let's not try to change out the bead. I'm not a masochist. All right, so that's tip 1. Make your closure like this. Super easy to get on and off, and you can tighten it and loosen it depending on how much ephemera is in your ephemera holder. How good is that? All right, so now I'm going to open it up, and I know that the last time we met in part 2, you can find part 1 and part 2 in my videos. They weren't that long ago, and I think I'll make a playlist for it too. But as you recall, I made this entire cover out of 2 old sturdy file folders glued together with Mod Podge, and then I glued papers on top of the front and back, and then these are the original inside flaps, and of course back flaps. And this is linen. And yeah, so I had these larger papers. These are some of the really terrific papers from Artful Era Gallery on Etsy. Artful with 1 L, Era, E-R-A, Gallery. And look they're just beautiful. Ozgi, who is the woman I'm collaborating with on these, is in Turkey. So she has access to all kinds of ephemera. This is another piece from the collection. And this collection is called the Mega Vintage, I believe. And the size of the ephemera are from the tiniest little thing to being this big. Oh, that's not part of it. Neither is that. Okay. But I thought, to have these flaps, originally I think I was going to cut them off, but I'm really glad I left them on because they really have provided, a terrific place. This is more of Ozgi, and this I think is from Ruby and Pearl, and this is from Luna, and this I don't think I have any idea, but I would guess Graphics Fairy, and this is from a book that I bought of papers. Okay, and you can see that I ran a credit card down the edge here, and I had to go with a hidden spine. The reason I went with a hidden spine wasn't because of strength, because I was planning on doing the waxed thread through the spine, no problem. And I had determined I was going to cover it as well, not knowing what at the time. But as it turned out, when the 2 file folders, were originally bent out of the factory, there became a ridge at that bend, and that ridge, it was not right in the middle because that wasn't possible, but it was like over to one side, and it just wasn't going away. And so there was a weak spot on my spine, a weak spot. So that's why I decided to make a hidden spine. And it turned out great. I don't think it was at all, I don't think it would have mattered which way I would have gone in terms of look and function, but I definitely was worried about that weakness. So I used a very strong and sturdy, maybe 1/8 of an inch thick cardboard. It's like the type of thing at the end of a tablet, that kind of thickness. And then I just, used, 3-in-1 to glue it down, and I used wax thread. Oh, here it is. I used this waxed thread, and I used a needle. It actually went through a needle, and the reason why is because you can see that it kind of frays at the ends, as I explained last time. And I didn't want to have to really deal with that because I ultimately chose to make quite small holes in my hidden spine, or in my signatures, and therefore in my hidden spine too. And I put the holes in the signatures before I glued in the transparencies. I did a few pages, like maybe 3, maybe 2, without putting in the holes, and then I thought, well, maybe I should, and I was glad I did because I didn't want to be too close to the holes. So my transparency, comes up just like 1/8 of an inch from the hole. And this one, it's just, they're really close. Well, you know what? It's hard to tell, right? Okay. You can't even, well, there's no transparency up there, but there is up here. So you can see the transparency ends right here, and then there's the hole. And this one ends over here, and this one over here. So they're between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch from the hole. And I layered the 4 pieces of scrapbook paper together, and this was not going to punch. This is the Japanese screw punch that Rachel loves. I'm really happy I got it. It makes really nice holes on both sides of the paper, but it is not going to go through 4 scrapbook papers. These are Tim Holtz and a couple of other brands, and they're nice and sturdy. They're not lightweight scrapbook paper. They're the heavy-duty scrapbook paper. So what I ended up doing is putting the 4 together. I measured down the same amount and up the same amount, and this is the center. And then I, punched through with my awl to get just the tip through to the other side. So it was like a start. And then I took them one by one and I punched the holes. That worked best for me. And it really did. It worked fine. It worked really well. And the only thing about the screw punch that's kind of a pain in the neck is that you have to, at least I did, have to pick out the plastic, the bits of paper. They're supposed to fall out the side, but after you've done a bunch of papers, they don't anymore. They just build up, and pretty soon the sharpness of the razors you can't tell, disappears. So so I get a pokey tool and I pick them out, and I poke it down to try to. And I also put another piece of cut up rotary mat underneath it, because if I did it on top of a couple things, and it actually went through the paper so easily that it was hitting the back before I realized it. So you might want to use something else beneath this when you're cutting, rather than the mat you usually work on. So that's my tip for that. Let me make sure I told you everything about that. Yeah. Okay. All right. This is a really lightweight. It's synthetic, and it's woven. It's woven pieces, like it looks like 6 pieces of a synthetic thread, like dental floss, woven together and then waxed. So it's not super stiff. It's not that heavy, thick, icky feeling. It's kind of in between, and I like it. I think it's pretty terrific, and I would recommend it. And I think I showed in my second video what the packaging was like. Let me see if I can find it. No, I got it off Amazon, and I also got this off Amazon. So in the second video, part 2, I give you the packages for both the linen thread and this particular screw punch. Okay? All right. So, so the big thing that I want to talk about is the cutting out. So let's look through it first before we get to that part, which was what took really a lot of effort, energy, time. It was exasperating for me. All right. So I went through boxes and a drawer where I keep my smaller size ephemera, and what I noticed, this is a 1.75, so 1 3/4 inch pocket. This is 2.5 inch pocket, and this is 2 3/4 inch pocket. And some of the center ones, I don't put any pocket on top. And sometimes I put a pocket on top and not in the middle. And it just kind of went like that. So I picked out ephemera that I don't remember I have, so it's not by the people that I normally use. Obviously my design team people, Chapter 1 Papers and Paper Cameo, though they have their special drawers, and I remember what they have and what I have of theirs, and they're sorted and everything like that. So I'm not putting any of those in here. I mean, maybe a piece or two, but essentially not. And I also don't put hardly anything like Rachel or Heather. They're my big four, I would say, my biggest four. So I picked some pieces, in some cases, that were going to be memory joggers. So by putting in, like this is vintage scrap crafts. Vintage scrap crafts. She did a whole swan kit, and I have it, and it's in a drawer. But by putting these two here, it reminds me, and I also know Heather did a lot of swans. So I'm reminded, oh yeah, go to your drawer and get your swans. I love her kit too, and she's got a lot of kits I love. So this is a memory jogger. What's the word for memory joggers? They used to, oh gosh, it's actually what the slaves used on the Underground Railroad. Metonic, you language people will remember. But, it's just if you assign something to be a memory jogger for a certain thing, then it becomes that stepstone that reminds you. So if you're trying to do something in secret, like on the Underground Railroad, you're not going to want to put out what might talk to the common man. Instead, you're going to put out the other thing, which symbolizes, which way to go. This is not about quilts. That did not happen. But it might be, a rock or a certain tree or something like that. So anyhow, that's what this became for me. A mnemonic device. That's not quite right, but it's close. So I love this intro. I know I'm going to use it. So, it's so pretty. I don't want to think of this as a book. But this page is of the Eiffel Tower. And it came out of an old kit on Family Tree from Hobby Lobby. And then we go in here, and I have all these different paper hankies, which come from different kits that were sort of amalgamation kits, other very large kits from an era. My favorite, Ephemera, maybe made some of these, and then these are Luna, and I love all the, I love her colors, and I love her choices. This was a freebie, I think, from, I'm not going to really go through and do this. I mean, this is crazy. I'll just finish my sentence. I think this is a freebie from, oh, you know who I think it's from, actually? Artie Mays. Old. Artie Mays or Tracy Fox, one or the other. And then, like these, I cut these off, and I never remember, because they just hide in amongst my stuff. And so I thought, wow, how great is this? I'll remember. This will also signify and symbolize to me that I want to be more grungy. I want to bring more grunge, not dark, grungy grunge. I just want to bring more, I don't know. To me, it'll just look more grungy. And so this is going to be a good reminder for that as well. And then these very tall pieces, I adore them. Just adore. This is Tracy Fox. And I never remember I have them. Skinny, they move to the back, and I never recall. These ladies I love. I think they happen to be calico. The calico one. Calico shop. Curious calico, something like that. And then I also put in lace. because I can use it like paper. It's backed. And I have tons of these women. These are the book ladies from Heather. I don't remember what kit that's from. These are from Lydia at Raindrop Lila. So I'm reminded, oh yeah, you've got a bunch of these women. Oh yeah, you've got a bunch of these women. So yes, I'm going to pull these out of here, but I also am going to now not depend on searching through my drawers, but actually know what I'm looking for. And I think I'm going to save a lot of time, and I think these reminders are really going to be helpful in reminding me what I have. So this is cut from an old calendar on antique quilts, and this is a copy of a original French postcard that I own that I put in another journal. This is tailor-made, chapter 1. This is a real seed packet that I got seeds in, but this is a copy, and this is paper cameo, and up here is something else, my little people, and a tall copy of one of my French documents. These are from Little Red Papery, or Little Miss, let's see, Little Red Papery. So these tall pages ended up being, I thought, really helpful. They kind of extend the page and they provide the tab. But in all honesty, I did not know that it was going to come out that way. So if you're not past the stage of cutting your pages, similar to mine, which I know a lot of you don't have the same dimension, so maybe you didn't fall into this. Maybe you recognize what I wasn't recognizing. But I was measuring my pages out for when the book was open. But look, it still overcomes. So what is it, the middle? How did I end up having it be? Look! You know what? When I measured where to make this turn, I did it because I laid the paper out. I put it against the inside of the cover. Oh, this is so weird. I don't even know why it's going over now that I look at it. That is so strange because it was laid out and that was the right size. Oh, look. Oh, it depends on where the signature is in the thing. This middle signature is okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm a beginner. Oh my God. So, the signature on this side and the signature on this side are hanging over the edges. This one in the middle isn't. I mean, is this Journal Making 101? Please, tell me. You know it is. I don't know what I was thinking. This has been a really distracting year for me so far, and I just did not think it through enough. But I don't care, because I like how it turned out. I like how I can see, oh, I know what I want is in the second signature. Oh, I know what I want is in the third signature. So, I don't care. I'm happy with it. So where are we? Let's see. Okay. And then we have this. And these goodies. More of the ladies that are reading in the book club. Some two different tall, already made tags. Got these out of Graphics Fury recently. This one I'm just going to use. It doesn't really remind me of anything. I've got a million of these labels. This is a stamp I made with a stamp I have. And I never remember it, and I really think it's super cool. I haven't seen that stamp in such a long time. It makes me wonder if I still have the stamp. This is a bag. I have a lot of tea-dyed bags and CD covers and all kinds of things that are, see-through like this and fun to use. And they're scattered in different places in the way I've stored, and this will remind me to use them. These are all the stamps I did when I got tailor-made journals. Well, tailor-made stamps made by Lorna at TaylorMade Journals. And, I made them and I loved them, and then I forget I have them and I haven't used them. This is one of them too. These are also, that's from Sam Poole. So, great reminders. And I bought her new stamps too, so I'll be putting more in there. This is a real, genuine French script piece of paper, of which I have a lot, and it's a reminder. These are all rip-outs from Heather, kit from Heather. This is a real French paper from an 1800s book I have that I've been ripping apart, and I forget I have. These are from Souvenir de la France. This is more real French paper. These are from Lorna. This I kind of wanted to just put on my little snippet pieces together. So different people, different snippets. These are Chapter 1 Papers tags from High Society. And they're so neutral. They'll be great as backgrounds for a lot of things. And I have the kit stored away in their drawer. Now these are all from Artful Era Gallery. I just love them. There's, like I said, 300, so this is a small smattering of what I really like, but they're beautiful, and they're grunge. It's vintage mega, so truly vintagey and super cool. This is a passport. You know what? I don't know for sure if this came from them. It might. I think it probably does, because I had it stored with this stuff, but I have found these in different kits I've bought, so look and see. Look and see. That's not finished. It's still got white. I haven't really done anything to make it look too authentic. But these wonderful, really gorgeous label size pieces of ephemera, all different colors in this kit. Greens, yellows, blues, pinks, but mostly neutrals. Look at all those. Aren't those beautiful? And this actually, I think, would be an envelope. You can see where the fold lines are. Great big bug. And there's different kinds of stamps. And checks, all kinds of things. And then there's like 5 at least pages of photographs, mostly of women, some men, couples, but mostly of women. I love this. I've seen that places, but it's hers. It's Ozgi's, and they're just wonderful. Some have the cabinet card, others are just the card itself. There's round circles in the kit. These are more labels. I love this lady. She's going to be one of my favorites. There's another beauty. These lines you might be able to see. Probably can't, but I'll show you. That's my printer. And I think it makes it look older, so I'm not tossing them. But I did clean my rollers after that. So, check it out. Check out the kit. She was the one that made those really cool Christmas women that I used that were very 40s. Remember that? This is the same Etsy and her same, sense of it all. And these are also from her. Not these, but these and these. You can see red, blue, black. There's a lot of sketches on envelopes. Here's a swan sketch on a postcard. A lot of different stamps, as they said. Here's another sketch. Just really cool ephemera. These took up so much room I didn't stick anything up here, but that's an option down the road. And these are also from her. And so are these, and so is this. This is actually an envelope. This is a different, I don't know if that's Chapter 1 or Ruby and Pearl. And that's not from the kit. And then these are other black and whites that I've gotten from a real variety of places. And this is more from Artful Era Gallery, going with that. And these are more from the Little Red Papery. And this, I think, is from Rachel, as is that. Put these laces together. This is real wallpaper. I used to have it in my kitchen, and I have seen this wallpaper, this design, not as wallpaper, this design in this diamond, or triangle, or diamond, yeah, shape in kits recently. So, wow, I thought that was super fun. But this is the real deal, and I haven't used it enough. Okay, so this is a good time to say that the glue that I used, the art glitter glue that I used, did not stick as well as I had hoped. Now, it's barely anywhere come unglued, so I'm not trying to say that it was terrible. But didn't expect it. But, you know, it doesn't really show. If you look closely, you can't see a thing. Over here, I can see glue, glue, glue. So it may have something, I mean, squished, you know. It may have something to do with the background paper. These are stamps that I actually own, but I made copies of them. Oh, I wonder where that light's coming from right now. Reminds me that I have the real deal. This, nothing came loose down here, but I ended up, because I was going so bonkers, glue that beat, not doing it at all. I was just so done with this, the gluing, and working with this completely clear boo-hoo, boo-hoo. I think I'll lay it in here then, on its side. These back in. Okay. Little booklet, ready made, so I want to make sure that I use it. And this is another little booklet I made. It's Rachel's paper. And this is a really pretty accordion folded piece with different papers on it. So this to me was just all really pretty and really feminine. So if I need, you know, the softer colors and the feminine feel in booklets, this would be my page. And the opposite of these, so I'll see that sticking out. And this is very neoclassical French. And so I ended up just covering up all of these pockets because honestly I've had these forever and they just never ever get used. This is a scrap from a paper cameo piece. It's just beautiful. Let's see, let me just put this on for a few more minutes. Okay, that's it. And cutouts, you know, my browns, French. These are fabrics. These are all fabrics. These are cut from a book on the mythical goddesses and gods, and I have a lot of them. I wanted to be reminded. And this is from a ornament book that I have, you know, the 1,000 ornaments through time or something. And I'd already glued it together to use in a different book, and I never did. But by putting it in here, I remember to go get that book off my shelf. And more goodies. And this is an old pocket from the Paper Cameo, and that's Paper Cameo. But what stood out for me was that the yellow, 49 dragonflies, yellow. This is my own collection. I have the real doily. It's see-through with embroidery. It's so beautiful, and it copied well. And so this was just, you know, kind of a spring or summer arrangement. These are the labels by Tracy Fox that are oriented towards fabrics. And then these are all the same. I can't remember actually who I got these from. I just don't remember at all who I got these from. It's kind of a new vendor, or at least new to me, and I don't remember, but it's on Etsy. So if you put in Au Bon Marche tags, indigo tags, one of those words will get you there. And this is one of the coin pockets that I made and sewed. This is using Chapter 1's coin pocket, and I glued this M on there, and I glued this S on there. But the stitching was fun, so I want to use that somewhere. And this is empty right now, and then I've got my buttons, which I have a lot of those, and more of that. And then I put in, you know, some stuff I've already coffee dyed and grunged. And there we are at the end. So let me just share about the cutting. So here's how I did the cutting. First of all, the first tip is put tissue paper underneath your transparency. Don't use a super transparent transparency. That's my first tip. Don't use something as crystal clear as I did. The time of day you're working on affects it. The light you have affects it. What it's laying against as you're trying to glue it affects it. Everything. And I was cutting on my, you know, Fiskars, that big rotary cutter thing. You never have to replace the blade. And I couldn't see it once it was laying down on the white, and then it would shift and move. So some of my pockets are actually kind of cut kind of uneven and different things like that. So the answer was I layered up a bunch of them on top of each other with the paper underneath each one, or at least I might have 2 clears and then paper and then 2 clears. I layered to 5. And then I measured from this direction. So I measured like 1 3/4, which on this ruler is right to here. Okay, that line. So I could get, I would have made this the 3 7/8. It probably, well, I don't think it is. This is the scrap. But I would have made my strip the 3 7/8, which were the side, the width of the skinny pages. I gave all the dimensions in the first one, in the first video. And then I wanted a pocket that was 1 3/4, and then 2 1/2, and then 2 and 0.75, but they all had to be this width. So I actually cut like 20, 25 of one size at a time and just went down the page. And I used a rotary cutter by pressing down on this ruler, which was so wide it covered my area, and using this rotary cutter, which is, it doesn't scoot anything along, it doesn't scoot anything back, it rolls, there's no pressure. I don't use the other type of razor cutter. You know, I don't have the finesse that other people do. I can use it and really pay attention, and I could get better at it, but this is so easy. So if you have access, you might try it and see. So that's what I did. I would end up cutting 5 at a time. I could see exactly where the measurements were by using the tissue paper, and I was able to cut out a bazillion in, you know, half an hour. It was really such a great finding. So the thing that took the longest ended up being the fact of the gluing them on, because it was just so hard to see them. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of pages there, and there's a lot of them. And I can glue more on. There's some pages that I didn't even use the pockets I put on there, and others I didn't put them on. So it's something I can change up if I want to. But I'm pretty darn happy with it, and don't really, foresee a need for a change. I'll just make sure that the ephemera that I put in as time goes on, can fill up the spaces right. But for my memory's sake, I want to try to kind of think of the pages in a similar way. I kind of want to keep the themes, similar. To me, this is a super feminine page, and, pairs. To me, this is lacy and frilly. So I think of things that way. That's how I operate. I'm very right-brained, and I feel, really good about it. I haven't had a chance to make anything, so I haven't had a chance to pull it out and use it, but I will. So let me see if there's anything else here that I want to tell you. Once I glued the hidden spine into the signature, I left it standing. I gathered the 3 signatures, clipped them on the top, and left it standing, and I put heavy stuff on the front and back cover. Well, not super heavy, just a book on each side. And I left it that way overnight. That is per instructions from Rachel. And I'm happy with the outcome. And then later, you glue this part down. So I glued the thing in, and I glued on this where it bends, and I glued a little bit to the other side, but I left the rest of it flipped up. And you want to take your credit card or whatever you use to make that groove so that it will ultimately bend. And then I glued this bottom down. Let's see, anything else? Oh, yes. Use Mod Podge, not gel medium, on 1950s paper. And that might even apply to other book covers, so I'll never try gel medium on a book cover again. I will use Mod Podge. This gel medium took off the pink and left some darker color. When I used my heat gun to heat it, to dry it, it helped. It was way darker when I put it on. I was in shock. So it pretty much looks like the same color. But here, it looks darker. And on the cover, it started to pick up the pink and make it sort of orange. So, the age of this, obviously there's orange and pink in this particular book manufacturer's making of the pink. And so I tried to wipe it off, and I used some pink pencils to try to sort of cover it up. C'est la vie. But Mod Podge came to the rescue. I used it around the edges. I used it where it split. It would split a little bit because turning it over was a little hard on it. And when I have other book covers to use, they're not as big, but I think I might consider cutting at the spine, giving a bit of a gap, and not having it stay whole, and then gluing in the file folders hole. It was tough. I had to train it. Really, I had to train it. And I was going to use a different linen, and then discovered it was too thick. This actually ends up being great. I love this linen. It's beautiful with it. It's perfect, and it's old. It's really old. I got it from Linen and Lace, 1924, Lace and Linen, 1924, something like that. Or Linen and More, 1924, on Etsy. But a huge piece. So I think that is everything. So any questions, please, you guys. I'm open. I'm sorry if you followed me and ended up, finding problems for yourself or wondering what I was talking about. I really apologize. But if yours turns out like mine, I don't feel bad for you because it turned out great. So definitely let me know if you've made one. Please tag me if you show it. Tell me any things you've learned that you want to share with everyone, or any questions you have, and I'm more than happy to address them. I love your messages. It connects me with you. You know, I feel just weird as heck talking to a video, and so messages are everything, comments. And if you like it, do what people do when they like a video. I wish you the best. I hope you have a great week, and I hope to be able to do some more crafting in the near future, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.